2, 3. Find it, match it, search it. Step 1. Find the style number on the tag. Step 2. Match the style number inside the jersey with the number on the tag. Step 3. Search it. A quick Google search of the style number will verify the jersey is authentic when the search results match the jersey being searched. Don't be fooled by counterfeit jerseys. Before you buy, remember to find it, match it, search it.
Fan Zone, 2 locations nationwide. Center City Mall, Chaguanas and Movietown, Port of Spain. Nationwide delivery available.
Our award-winning show is back, and this season promises to be even more exciting than before. What's Up, Doc isn't just a title. It's a call to action for anyone who wants to improve their health and well-being. Join us on this thrilling ride towards better health on WESN Content Capital.
This is Face of Sports, WESN Content Capital. How you felt about the kiss on the lip?
That's the business. I'm nothing to do with that.
I find that was distasteful.
The national senior team, whether you like it or not, that is the model for all other teams to follow.
I'm assuming that the regional requirement may be a much stricter requirement.
This is not about Pro League and Super League. This is a league run by the Normalization Committee that I'm responsible for.
Nobody expected FIFA to fund this arrangement.
If we don't get a professional attitude towards this, we are doomed for failure.
You break the balance, trip the leg, control the body.
They ain't gonna stand put forever.
Why you want the Chiefs to lose so? Why you want the Chiefs to lose so?
They already have 2. Lamar don't
Why?
have.
You're jealous because you know the Chiefs getting closer to the Patriots. Let's go to the last part.
No,
of the game.
no.
Let's go to the last part.
Money is something we all deal with, but how many of us truly understand it? What if you could make better decisions with your money? Decisions that secure your future, protect your family, and bring you peace of mind. I'm Darren Jacobs, and I'm here to help you make sense of your dollars. Welcome to Dollars and Cents, the show that breaks down the financial world in ways that matter to you. No jargon, no confusion, just real conversations about money, your money. So join me every Wednesday at 10 a.m. on WESN for Dollars and Cents.
The home of Caribbean content is growing, and we welcome you to be a part of the #1 platform for young personalities who are driven to make a positive impact in society. As we continue to reach every corner of Trinidad and Tobago through our daily broadcasts, our social media pages, or through our 75+ digital billboards across the nation, contact us to learn about our competitive rates via marketing at wesncc.com or call us at 628-5835. WESN Content Capital, television with a difference.
Most common presentation are menstrual disturbances, so prolonged and heavy and often very painful periods. So rather than a fairly normal 5-6 day menstrual cycle period, They might get incredibly heavy bleeding for 2, 3, 4, 5 days, and it might be prolonged to 7. This bleeding month on month on month can then lead to a drop in the hemoglobin levels and anemia, which can be very tiring. They can also be very painful. Some women will bleed constantly and not have a cycle at all. They'll bleed for 30 days, 40, 50, 60 days.
WESN.
Good morning and welcome to AM Prime on WESN. I'm Takia Thompson and we have a lot in store for you today. So let's dive right into this first conversation that we want to have. A significant conversation is set to take place this Thursday as the UWI Institute for Gender and Development Studies marks 25 years of advocacy with a panel discussion focused on sexual violence under the theme Justice, Healing and Prevention. Voices from across sectors will be addressing one of the most pressing social issues facing our society. So this morning, we're joined by the president of UWI Institute for Gender and Development Studies, Soleil Marie Collins, to give us an idea of the type of discussions that will be held on Thursday. Good morning, Ms. Collins.
Hi, good morning. I just need to correct you there. I'm the president of the Sexual Assault Survivors Stand, the non-profit organization.
Thank you.
And we're in collaboration with the UWI Institute of Gender and Development Studies.
Lovely. Thank you so much for that clarification. We want to dive right into the conversation. And we know sexual violence is a topic that every country discusses, and unfortunately, it's something that every country experiences. So when it comes to Trinidad and Tobago, would you say there has been an increase in incidents like these for a timeline of, let's say, for the past 5 years as compared to previous years?
Well, when you compare Trinidad and Tobago's context, you see that it remains significantly underreported. So there aren't much statistics to show that there's more incidents. So what we're seeing is not necessarily an increase in incidents, but a greater awareness and the willingness for persons to speak out. And with that said, the persistence of these cases shows that the systemic issues still exist presently.
Lovely. What year would you say had the most reports of sexual violence?
Reported would have been around 2022.
2022. Wow. So on Thursday, you guys will be having a panel discussion on sexual violence itself. So can you share some of the discussions that will be brought up?
Right. So this year marks 25 years of the campaign Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So the theme would be Justice, Healing and Prevention. So we do intend to have the conversation of looking back and moving forward 25 years since. So looking back being what were the things and the processes and procedures put in place for reporting for justice, how was justice seen and treated with. Presently now we look at healing, how persons heal and get support, whether it be from medical services, therapy, as well as prevention. So future looking forward, how can we raise awareness? How can we prevent things like this from happening? How can we educate society about sexual assault?
Thank you for that. And you mentioned the theme on the justice and healing. So how does, or what does justice look like for survivors in our society today? But also, what are some of the challenges victims face?
So justice for survivors is not just about, convictions and trials, but it's about being heard and believed and protected and being supported throughout the entire process. But survivors tend to face the challenge of, delays in the legal system where it's lengthy trial periods, the stigma and victim blaming. You have limited access to trauma-informed care, as well as the barriers of reporting, whether it be emotional access to reporting, psychological. And we believe that healing is a deeply personal thing. Everybody goes at their own pace when it comes to healing, and many survivors are navigating systems that are not always equipped to support them.
Thank you for sharing that. Are there cultural or societal attitudes that make it difficult for victims to come forward? And then
Definitely.
How do we begin to change the mindset in thinking that way?
Right, definitely we do have cultural and societal barriers. It presents in many different ways for victims who wish to come forward. Maybe the culture of silence and shaming, where they tell you, you know, you're going to embarrass the person, and they tend to protect the perpetrator rather than support the survivor. And, you know, when they come forward, they are met with stigma and judgment. Sometimes people don't even believe them, and there's a tendency to protect the reputation of the perpetrator, again, as I said before. And there are also misconceptions surrounding victim responsibility, where they tend to blame the victim and ask them what they've been wearing, would they have initiated it, they didn't say no, how would they have behaved, and they tend to place the blame on the victim. So with these narratives, it shifts the focus away from the perpetrator, and it places undue blame on the survivor. So because of this culture now, we have to address these challenges by prioritizing education. And when we do this, we teach consent, respect, healthy relationships and boundaries. And this will be able to create a safe space and environment for survivors so they could feel heard and seen and believed.
And I like how you mentioned the education part of it as well. So that leads to my next question. What kind of support systems are currently available in Trinidad and Tobago? And what are the gaps, or what gaps are there within our society or system that you still think that needs to be addressed?
So right now, our support systems that we have the TTPS, Gender-Based Violence Unit, we have the Child Protective Services Unit, we have the Cyber Crimes Unit, there is Rape Crisis Society, there's also the Sexual Assault Survivors Stand, which is my non-governmental organization, where we're a survivor-centered community. We support each other and empower each other in healing, so that way you take control of your life and you aren't forced into healing, where it is, you have that environment, let's say therapy, where they expect you to have a deadline. So you have that, you have counseling services. And in terms of the gaps, we see that accessibility is a challenge in terms of funding, where persons can't afford therapy or even medical treatment, so they just bypass it on the whole. There is limitations of resources, delays in response, and a lack of coordination between agencies, which could further impact the quality of support that survivors receive. And sometimes you see that persons who would have gone through ordeals like this, they feel overwhelmed trying to navigate through these systems without proper guidance. So moving forward, I think there should be a clear framework in place to improve public awareness of the resources that are available, increasing investment as well for survivor support, and ensuring that responses, when persons are dealing with survivors, it should be centered around dignity and respect and empathy, because a lot of people tend to lack empathy when taking reports from survivors and tend to victim blame, and because of that, it sets back the healing process for the survivor.
Yes, and in sharing, I had another question on that, but why would you say it's important to teach young people, and not just young people, but people in general, the importance about setting boundaries and knowing what is good consent to bad consent?
Well, everybody should know about that. Sexual education, I definitely believe there should be comprehensive sexual education. From young, you tend to learn this in school. They started to advertise it in workplaces. You should learn it from home, but unfortunately, you tend to see that sometimes the perpetrator is at home. And because of that taboo, it isn't really spoken about. So being educated from early, you learn about good touch and bad touch. You learn about speaking to a trusted adult, and growing up, eventually it evolves to they tell you, abstain instead of telling you to use protection and having how to have healthy sexual relations. And once you have these different conversations with different entities, whether it be the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, therapists, parents, I think it should start from parents having the conversation with children on sex and consent and boundaries. This is community accountability, and at a national level, we are not yet doing enough consistently or comprehensively, and it is required to have, sustained investment, policy enforcement, and a vast cultural change.
And in a scenario where a friend or someone close may have come to them and confide in them that, they have been assaulted, how should they go about an issue like that?
You listen. The best thing you could do is listen, let them feel heard. You don't even have to respond. You just have to hear them out. Then you are empathetic about it. You ask them, are you okay? I'm glad that you trusted me not to confide in me with something this serious. And then you don't force options on them because, again, healing processes are different for everyone. You could suggest, would you like to go to the police and make a report? Would you like me to keep this confidential? Would you like me to link you to a legal service? Would you like counseling? Offer them options, but also offer them the option of a shoulder to cry on, because sometimes all you need is someone to listen before you make that step of actually pursuing justice.
And before I look to start wrapping up, back on the consent part of it, do you think people fully understand what consent is in terms of being able to give consent and then take it back? Is that still a thing?
Oh, definitely. If I tell you yes, no, and then we're going into it, I get turned off, I can tell you no, and people need to learn to respect that, and respect is a huge thing, because consent, sexual assault on the whole is understood as the sexual act carried out without a person's consent, including where consent is obtained through force, threats, intimidation, coercion. So even when you do start off saying, yes, I want to, and then when you say no, they coerce you and tell you, come now, and we don't start, or they pretend that they don't even hear you and proceed. So the definition of sexual assault itself, it extends beyond rape to include unlawful sexual touching or the violation of a person's bodily integrity. So consent goes both ways. Consent goes based on age, because the laws of Trinidad, you are allowed to have sex at the age of 18. A minor cannot consent to sex. So if a big adult is saying, a 16-year-old or 15-year-old told me, yes, they consented, by law, that is statutory rape. They are not able to give consent.
And what is one message you'd like the public to take away ahead of Thursday's discussion?
Well, we were graciously invited to our panel discussion at the IGDS conference room at UE. This is opposite Hugh Wooding. This is 59 Gordon Street, St. Augustine, from 1:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. on Thursday, April 9th. That is this Thursday. The main message is that sexual violence is everyone's issue and not just a survivor's burden. Ahead of Thursday, the message is simple: educate yourself, support survivors, and be that change you want to see. Ending sexual violence requires a collective responsibility.
Thank you so much, Ms. Collins. I know this conversation may have felt very short, but it was very informative at the same time. And thank you for sharing insight on it. So just to reiterate and give the information one more time for Thursday for persons interested to come out to this panel discussion.
Yes. So it's on Thursday, 9th April from 1:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. at the UE IGDS Conference Center. That is opposite Hugh Wooding Law School. That is on 59 Gordon Street, St. Augustine. You can contact me, 754-6284, for more details and a form to sign up for registration.
Thank you, Ms. Collins, for sharing
your
insight and helping us better understand such important issues. And yes, we do look forward to being a part of that panel discussion and having the conversation. Guys, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we have more engaging conversations for you, so don't go far.
Maybe he landed here totally by coincidence. But if by chance he's admiring your fresh coat of Benjamin Moore soft sky blue, well, that's a pretty high compliment. Coming from an expert.
Knowing how to tell authentic is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Find it, match it, search it. Step 1. Find the style number on the tag. Step 2. Match the style number inside the jersey with the number on the tag. Step 3. Search it. A quick Google search of the style number will verify the jersey is authentic when the search results match the jersey being searched. Don't be fooled by counterfeit jerseys. Before you buy, remember to find it, match it, search it.
Fan Zone, 2 locations nationwide. Center City Mall, Chaguanas and Movietown, Port of Spain. Nationwide delivery available.
I want to get a tattoo.
You really
respond to me. Respond to me how you would respond to me.
The first question I'll ask is why?
Controversial taboo topics.
We get so consumed by church, we forget that we have to live the life of being a Christian outside of the Sunday.
Like you say,
services.
we think going to a service makes us a Christian.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. So here we are about to hear the second time Pastor J wanted to take a tattoo.
Would have been late last year and early this year.
Oh gosh.
Hope Unfiltered podcast with Pastor J and Ren.
Our award-winning show is back, and this season promises to be even more exciting than before. What's Up, Doc isn't just a title, it's a call to action for anyone who wants to improve their health and well-being. Join us on this thrilling ride towards better health on WESN Content Capital.
This is Face of Sports, WESN Content Capital. How you felt about the kiss on the lip?
That's the business. I'm not to do with that.
I find that was distasteful.
The national senior team, whether you like it or not, that is the model for all other teams to follow.
I'm assuming that the regional requirement may be a much stricter requirement.
This is not about Pro League and Super League. This is a league run by the Normalization Committee that I'm responsible for.
Nobody expected FIFA to fund this arrangement.
If we don't get a professional attitude towards this, we are doomed for failure.
You break the balance, trip the leg, control the body.
They ain't gonna stand put forever.
Why you want the Chiefs to lose so? Why you want the Chiefs to lose so?
They already have two. Lamar don't
Why?
have.
You're jealous because you know the Chiefs getting closer to the Patriots. Let's go to the last part.
No,
of the game.
no.
Let's go to the last part.
You are watching Strictly Legal on WESN Content Capital. Just give an overview of what exactly is that split arrangement.
Nah, you don't need to register nothing. You don't need, we can do that another time. But then it becomes a hit. And then everybody starts to want to claim.
The laws that predate many of the independent countries' constitutions are going to be those colonial laws.
We know there are an infinite amount of circumstances that would lead to a murder.
I have a great idea and I have a great concept,
but until it's actually expressed, it does not become intellectual property.
Accomplishments or targets of a forensic accountant is to quantify what may have been lost.
We believe with different criminals and we manipulated the law and we exploited the system.
A responsible journalist will reach out to the person who they have the information on for a comment.
Knowing how to tell authentic is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Find it, match it, search it. Step 1. Find the style number on the tag. Step 2. Match the style number inside the jersey with the number on the tag. Step 3. Search it. A quick Google search of the style number will verify the jersey is authentic when the search results match the jersey being searched. Don't be fooled by counterfeit jerseys. Before you buy, remember to find it, match it, search it.
Fan Zone, 2 locations nationwide. Center City Mall, Chaguanas and Movietown, Port of Spain. Nationwide delivery available.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378 or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
The home of Caribbean content is growing and we welcome you to be a part of the #1 platform for young personalities who are driven to make a positive impact in society. As we continue to reach every corner of Trinidad and Tobago through our daily broadcasts, our social media pages, or through our 75+ digital billboards across the nation, contact us to learn about our competitive rates via marketing at wesncc.com or call us at 628-5835. WESN Content Capital, television with a difference.
Welcome back, and turning our focus to something special for both children and parents, learning through creativity and culture. Joining us this morning is founder Jaleesa John, founder of St. Ada Kids Interactive Busy Book. She's here to talk about the importance of infusing more local culture in children's book, as well as exploring the different ways children learn and engage. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Not a problem at all. So we want to dive right in. Tell us a little about yourself.
Well, first and foremost, I want to tell everyone watching a very happy good morning, especially my family. Hi, Mom. I'm sure my kids are still asleep, but I am, like you said, the founder of the Caribbean's first play-based brand for children, educational brand for children, and that's St. Ada Kids. I'm a homeschool mom of 3. I have a decade of experience in business. I actually started my first business when I was like 18 or 19. I was studying entrepreneurship at Costat. So I think at my core, I would say I am a creator. And I recently created my first physical product under the St. Ada Kids brand, which is Count and Play.
So before we dive more into Count and Play, because guys, if you're seeing it set up in studio, it looks very beautiful. So I just know the children have a ball when they have it. So what inspired you itself to create Count and Play?
Well, honestly, I created this for my own children. I did not create this with the intention to sell. So the first books were actually created by me at home with my printer, my Cricut machine and a laminator, right? And I just wanted something for my children to do during the July-August vacation. This was last year. I wanted them to have something to do where they would feel like they were playing, but I would know they were learning math skills in preparation for the new school term. And so I made it, and my family, they fell in love with it, and they were like, you need to sell this, you need to share this with other parents, and that is how Count and Play was born.
So what makes this book unique compared to other early childhood learning materials?
I think my biggest regret, before I jump into that, is actually calling it a busy book, because it's more than just a book for keeping children busy. It's an experience, it's interactive, it's hands-on, and it's designed for play. Other books are designed for reading or doing practice exercises. This is not that, right? This allows children the opportunity to engage with mathematics concepts in a way they've never done before, right? So instead of just doing drills, they are or learning formulas, they are experiencing counting, they're experiencing addition, and also Count and Play infuses Caribbean childhood and culture. So the book is packed with familiar scenes. Everybody has water tanks. It's so local and Trini, like coconut trees. So from the moment a child opens the pages in these books, they feel like, oh my God, that's me. This is my home. This is my neighbor, you know?
So, because you started touching on it a bit, right? But how important is it for children in Trinidad and Tobago to see local or relatable content in their learning materials?
I think it's extremely important. Because if we were to ask a young child, let's say in preschool or in primary school, to name the seasons in Trinidad and Tobago, many of them will tell you winter, summer, fall, and spring. They won't say rainy season or dry season. And why is that? It's because I don't know the exact numbers, but I feel confident in saying 99% of the media that we have access to is not homegrown. That means that Trinbagonians did not create it. From everything that we watch on TV, to the music that we listen to outside of Carnival, to the books that we read, is not made by Trinbagonians. And when something is not made by us, it's not for us. It doesn't reflect our experiences, our culture, right? And I think it's not only important for children to have access to relatable and local content, but it's critical because it shapes their identity and builds their confidence.
Definitely. And looking from the educational impact of it, how does your book itself help children learn differently and more effectively?
Well, what I've learned from watching my own children is that children learn best when it doesn't feel like schoolwork. It has to feel like a game. So when they have that opportunity to be curious, or that freedom, I should say, to be curious and have fun, I think that's where the real magic happens. And so Count and Play is not like your typical learning material where you force your child to sit down and you give them a drill or they have to memorize this. No, it's about actually interacting with the content. They will think they're learning, but they will think they're playing, but the parents will know they are learning, right? So,
is there like a favorite part of the book that you especially like to be a part of when your children are learning, or to just see other children learn?
A favorite part of the book? No, I feel like the entire thing. Like I poured my everything into this. And I think people can tell. Because when they get the book, the feedback that I receive is like, wow, this is incredible. So you could tell that I poured my everything into it. So the whole thing is my favorite. But what is special about it is that children can see themselves
may have encountered or faced while creating and even going to the extent of publishing a book, and how did you overcome the challenges?
Well, I have experience publishing books.
Okay.
But like I said, I regret calling this a busy book because it's not really like your average book. So I have experience publishing actual books that you will read, or like journals and things like that.
Right.
The challenge with this, however, is that I couldn't find anyone locally to create it. So I called, I emailed, I WhatsApped every single printery in Trinidad and Tobago. I even dropped off samples that I made at home for them to see how I wanted the removable pieces, etc. And everybody said, we don't have the equipment and we don't have the human resources to make something like this. So I had no choice but to go overseas.
Right.
And when you go overseas now, there's a bigger investment because manufacturers overseas, they have minimum order quantities. And it's not like 10, 20, it's hundreds and sometimes thousands. And so I was faced with a financial challenge, and I said, you know what? I'm just going to share this on the internet and tell people about it. And if they love it, they can support by pre-ordering. So these books are here today because the diaspora, not just people in Trinidad and Tobago, but people from Barbados, from the UK, from St. Lucia, all over the Caribbean, they pre-ordered. And that is how we are here today. And I'm so grateful for that support.
So you mentioned the pre-ordered part of it. Is that the only way we'd be able to get this book, or how else would we be able to get the book?
No, well, pre-orders, that happened last year.
Right.
So everyone who pre-ordered, they were the first in the world to get theirs. They got theirs since last year. And then the full shipment arrived around Christmas time, and it didn't clear customs until like January. So I have them available here, and people could get them on my website, ICNTT. That's where I also have printables. So that's why I say this is my first physical product. But I also have printables that I create for everything from social studies to science, and it's all curriculum aligned, but it's in a fun way. So children never think, oh, I'm learning. Oh my God, this is schoolwork. No, they think, oh my God, such a cool craft. You know?
Yeah, definitely, because it really is just by looking at it. So no doubt in terms of opening it and having to go through the contents, I know children would love it. So what advice would you give to a young person who wants to become an author or a founder and tap into that creativity, especially in the education field?
I would say just do it. And the second thing that I would say, it might be a little controversial, but don't rely on AI. And the reason why I say that is because this brain that we have here, God gave us creativity. In the Bible, it says that God created us in his image and likeness. And a part of that likeness is that we have his creative powers. So God created the heavens, the earth, waterfalls, animals, and he gave us that creativity. Everything we see here in studio, a human being created that. They thought about it first, and then they created it. So we are much more creative than we give ourselves credit for. So that's why I say don't rely on AI. Don't just go to AI chatbot and say, create a busy book for me, or create a book about so-and-so, and then copy and paste that. Take from your own experiences, your own stories, and that is what you want to write about, and also do it for the right reasons. Don't publish a book or create anything just because you think it's a get-rich-quick scheme. Do it because you actually love people, you want to help people, and you want to share that unique story and perspective that you have.
Right, absolutely. And see, off camera, we were talking about how we didn't have something like this in our childhood growing up, so we wanted to make the experience. So how was it in your childhood that if you had something like this, do you think it would have made it a bit differently to your outcome now, or how you would have seen learning differently back then to now?
For sure, for sure. Well, I have to say I was a straight-A student because, like I said, mom is watching. My mom is very strict. So I did do well in school. I did well in SEA. I went to a prestigious secondary school and all the things, right?
Okay.
But I hated school.
Wow.
So when I got to secondary school, I was a teenager. No, mom can't tell me you have to go to school. I'm not in primary school anymore. Every day I was like, today is my holiday. It's Jaleesa Day. I'm staying home. I did not like school, but I was good at school because I learned how to cram. And also, there were things that I was interested in school, but a lot of the things, it was not interesting because I think, no offense to teachers, but the way that things are taught in school is in preparation for an exam versus you know, allowing children to be curious about the world and asking why. And, you know, you're not really told why you're learning things. You're just told to go home and learn this to prepare for an exam. So if I had the things like this that I now create for ICNTT kids, I think I would have enjoyed school a lot more. I won't be taking holidays all the time.
Right, definitely. And you started touching on it a bit in terms of, you know, sharing on how teachers could do things differently, but how would you advise teachers in terms of doing things differently, not just for secondary, but also at that tender young age?
Well, I know that teachers have a lot on their plate. Like I said, I'm a homeschool mom.
Yes.
And when I started homeschooling, because my oldest, he went to traditional school before I started homeschooling him. And when I started, I was like, oh my God, teachers deserve all the money they ask for because this is not easy. And I just had one. I just had him because the girls, they were babies, right? They have a whole class of sometimes 30 or 40 students. Right. So it's not easy to to go home and think about, you know, what fun thing can I do with my class tomorrow? You're thinking, I have this curriculum to finish, and I have to make sure that everyone passes this test. Yeah. Right? And so with ICNTT kids, I want to create things that support teachers, that they don't have to go home and make themselves. You can just go on the website. You're teaching rearing fish tomorrow in agricultural science. You go and you download the resource for rearing fish and you give it to your class. Yeah. Right? So I think I'm an ally for teachers in that regard.
Thank you so much for sharing that insight though. And you know, coming down to it, what's next for you? And are there any new books or projects in the works?
Well, here's what I would say. Australians have Bluey, right? The British have Peppa Pig. Right. Americans have Mickey Mouse. And now the Caribbean has ICNTT kids. Wow. So everything you see those international brands doing, you're going to see ICNTT kids doing. Wow. So I am not just focusing on printables or books, but I want to expand into toys, into clothes, into TV shows. And actually, I recently just finished animating my first video based on count and play. So this very first page here was counting from 1 to 10 with my character Rue. That has been turned into an animated cartoon where children can follow along, they can learn the rhyme and sing the songs, and it's like I'm bringing the pages in this busy book to life.
Wow. And I do believe we have a video, so let's take a look of this.
Rue is a baby who loves to count. Loves to count, loves to count. Rue is a baby who loves to count the toys in her room. She has one plushie mermaid doll. Mermaid doll, mermaid doll. She has one plushie mermaid doll with red hair. It's so cool. She has 2 rattles she loves to shake. Loves to shake, loves to shake. She has 2 rattles she loves to shake. They jingle as she plays. She has 3 drums she likes to beat. Likes to beat, likes to beat. She has 3 drums she likes to beat. Boom, boom, to the beat. She has 4 teething rings to chew. Rings to chew. Rings to chew. She has 4 teething rings to chew. They soothe her when she's blue. She has 5 squeaky rubber ducks. Rubber ducks. Rubber ducks. She has 5 squeaky rubber ducks. They float and sing quack quack. Roo is a baby who loves to count. Loves to count. Loves to count. Roo is a baby who loves to count the toys in her room.
Honestly, it's already catchy. I could hear myself singing it throughout the day. It is such a catchy, and she was showing me, guys, that it is the page come to life. So while you have the book or while you have the printable version or you're watching it, you could play this video along and you'll be able to just follow through. Really cool. Wow. I love it. I love it.
Can you imagine all of the pages have rhymes and songs like this?
Yeah.
And they're turned into animations for children, so they can follow along, they can remember the songs, and in doing that, they actually remember how to skip count or how to multiply because of a song.
So with this video, and we're looking to wrap up, but how did you think of bringing your pages to life? What inspired that?
That was from the beginning. When I first created it, I knew I wanted to do all of this.
Wow.
And so I tried, like when I took the book to my manufacturer overseas, I also wanted to include other things, but like I said, the finances, like it's expensive. But I always knew I wanted to do videos, I want to do a workbook to go along with the busy book. I want to have posters and flashcards and all the things.
Wow, just wow. No, it really is inspiring, and even for the young ones looking on, I hope you take this as encouragement, as a little inspiration to say, yes, if she can do it, I can definitely do it. So any final words or last words that you'd want to give to the viewers looking on?
What can I say? Being from the Caribbean is a unique advantage, and I think we should lean more into that instead of trying to be like people we see in other countries. Because we need more things that are relatable to our experiences, our culture, our way of life. And our children deserve it.
Yes, definitely. And just to reiterate where persons can get this book.
Yes, so you can go on ICNTT.com, that is our website. You'll be able to purchase the busy book and other printables such as crafts, coloring pages, all the things you can find on there.
Thank you so much, Jaleesa, for sharing your creativity and passion for educating children in such a meaningful way. Like, when you look at the book and you look at the founder behind it, you see that you really have a passion for it, you really have a heart for what you're doing, so it's truly, truly admirable. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having us. Guys, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we do have one more engaging, lovely conversation for you, so don't go far.
Maybe he landed here totally by coincidence. But if by chance he's admiring your fresh coat of Benjamin Moore soft sky blue, well, that's a pretty high compliment. Coming from an expert.
Our award-winning show is back, and this season promises to be even more exciting than before. What's Up, Doc isn't just a title, it's a call to action for anyone who wants to improve their health and well-being. Join us on this thrilling ride towards better health on WESN Content Capital.
This is Face of Sports, WESN Content Capital. How you felt about the kiss on the lip?
That's the business. I'm nothing to do with that.
I find that was distasteful.
The national senior team, whether you like it or not, that is the model for all other teams to follow.
I'm assuming that the regional requirement may be a much stricter requirement.
This is not about Pro League and Super League. This is a league run by the Normalization Committee that I'm responsible for.
Nobody expected FIFA to fund this arrangement.
If we don't get a professional attitude towards this, we are doomed for failure.
You break the balance, trip the leg, control the body.
They ain't gonna stand put forever.
Why you want the Chiefs to lose so? Why you want the Chiefs to lose so?
They already have two. Lamar don't
Why?
have.
You're jealous because you know the Chiefs getting closer to the Patriots. Let's go to the last part.
No,
of this game.
no.
Let's go to the last part.
This is 10 questions. I'm Andy Johnson. The distance from where we should be in the world in going forward on our commitments with climate change.
The effects of climate change that cannot be accounted for. It's called loss and damage, and we're seeing loss and damage happening so much more in this decade and the previous decade.
The principal term there was this question of the correspondent banking issues.
That is why we're trying to build capacity with this country here, Trinidad and Tobago, and other countries in the region. Man
is not showing any signs of stopping or even slowing down. More than half of the forest in Trinidad is already gone.
All the plants and all the animals and all of the nice clean water and fresh air and everything had to be on this planet for humanity to have a chance.
We have small change when it comes to countries that can take decisions, and when they speak, the world listens.
The General Assembly is a very democratic forum. And Trinidad and Tobago has the same vote as Canada, in spite of the obvious difference in size.
You are watching Strictly Legal on WESN Content Capital. Just give an overview of what exactly is that split arrangement.
It is now you don't need to register nothing. You don't need. We can do that another time. But then it becomes a hit, and then everybody starts to want to claim. The laws that predate many of the independent countries' constitutions are going to be those colonial laws.
We know there are an infinite amount of circumstances that would lead to a murder.
I have a great idea and I have a great concept, but until it's actually expressed, it does not become intellectual property.
Accomplishments or targets of a forensic accountant is to quantify what may have been lost.
They believe we defend criminals and we manipulated the law and we exploited the system.
A responsible journalist will reach out to the person who they have the information on for a comment.
Pastor J, I want to get a tattoo.
You really
respond
wanna,
to me. Respond to me how you would respond to me.
The first question I'll ask is why.
Controversial taboo topics.
We get so consumed by church, we forget that we have to live the life of being a Christian outside of the Sunday.
Like you say,
services.
we think going to a service makes us a Christian.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. So here we are about to hear the second time Pastor J wanted to take a tattoo.
Would have been late last year and early this year.
Oh gosh.
Hope Unfiltered podcast with Pastor J and Ren.
I'm Sean Michael Small, and we are WESN, the Content Capital.
We are tackling the hard-hitting topics, some controversial topics, some topics we sweep under the rug. You don't always have to forgive in a relationship for it to move forward.
If it is you are in a situation where you forgive the person, but to the detriment of yourself, what are you really doing?
It is very uncommon for somebody in the younger age group to have dementia.
Atheists don't not believe.
Is that I can't disprove God, but you also can't prove God, so we cannot have a stalemate.
We'll focus on the woman who's being the victim, or the man who's being the victim. We exclude the children.
Folks are trying to study the underlying brain mechanism to figure out how does this particular disorder happen in the brain? How is the brain processing this?
Don't worry about AI, worry about humans working with AI.
Are you willing to learn new skills to stay relevant for the future job market? That's the challenge that people are going to struggle with.
Money is something we all deal with, but how many of us truly understand it? What if you could make better decisions with your money? Decisions that secure your future, protect your family, and bring you peace of mind. I'm Darren Jacobs, and I'm here to help you make sense of your dollars. Welcome to Dollars and Cents, the show that breaks down the financial world in ways that matter to you. No jargon, no confusion, just real conversations about money, your money. So join me every Wednesday at 10 a.m. on WESN for Dollars and Cents.
Welcome back, and we're going to dive right into this other conversation. So after a long weekend, persons sometimes struggle to get back into their routine, whether it be for work or school. So today we're talking to psychiatrist Dr. Varma Deyasingh to get tips on how to work through these moments. Good morning, Dr. Varma.
Oh, good morning. Good morning. And I see you're looking fresh this morning, so it seems that you're not suffering from what we call post-holiday blues. So I'm glad to see that.
Post-holiday blues. Tell us more about that one time as you started there.
Okay, so what we found is even after a long weekend, you find that some persons find a hesitancy in going out to work on a Monday. And you know the normal saying, thank God it's Friday, TGIF. So this is our way of looking forward to a weekend away from work. And it has been there before. So when you now add on holidays to that, extra days, it's a little more difficult for persons to drag themselves out now, get off the bed, to go back out to that normal routine.
Wow. And in your opinion, what does it mean to mentally reset, and why is it important?
Well, the thing is, this, what we call post-holiday blues, right? It happens basically after a long break. Many people would dread going back to the grind because you have to go back to the emails, the deadlines, early morning, routine, traffic, etc. And what we found is that sometimes the brain is in a rest mode. And from a rest mode, the brain now has to readjust. And it has to readjust back to that work mode. And this is where you have disrupted routines, sleep time, daily structure, changes, all these things the brain sometimes resists. Because you see, most of us in our lives, there's an underlying level of stress. That is modern living. So we have an underlying level of stress. So when we now get an escape, be it a weekend, be it a long weekend, be it a holiday, your brain now welcomes that. And now when you have to go back now to that grind, to that deadlines, to that probably a toxic work environment, when you have to go back in that environment, your brain somehow resists it. And as it resists it, your moods tend to change. So you have disrupted routines is one thing that causes that brain to go out of sync. The other thing too is you have what you call a dopamine contrast, because holidays feel rewarding, work feels less exciting. So you're moving from a pleasure mode back into a purpose work mode. And then sometimes what you have to is a psychological reasons why people get these moods is loss of autonomy. When you're home, you can do what you want, get up when you want, do anything you want. When you have to go back and structure, it feels like you now have a control. And then you have now what you call cognitive overload when you go back out to work. So much work there is suddenly placed on you, you sometimes resist it. So these are things where you yourself, as a self sort of a preservation, you say, listen, I want to stay in that pleasure mode. I want to keep in that pleasure mode rather than go back into the stressful world. And it's something what we call a dopamine contrast, where holidays feel rewarding, work feels less exciting. So when we now have to readjust, we have no choice now to try to make up our minds that we have to mentally reset, We have to say yes, and this is where it's important, to reset, where you have to now go from living to working, late nights to routine, relaxation to responsibility. And if you don't make up that mindset, it is more difficult to come out on a post-holiday. And the phenomenon of post-holiday blues is well known, where people now struggle to come out of bed, struggle to get back into the routine sometimes, because you basically is a self-defense mechanism. Let's stay in that pleasure zone.
And you mentioned the responsibilities and how at times it could feel sluggish. And we know that there might be an anxiety or overwhelming feeling that comes with that. And you mentioned the mindset change, but with a mindset change, how can persons stay motivated when they're feeling sluggish and even unproductive?
Well, the thing is, as you mentioned, the anxiety is there. There's something called anticipatory anxiety, where you anticipate when you go. It's hard work, it's new deadlines, your boss is coming over you. So all these things will give you that changes in mood. So you might feel depressed, you might feel a little anxiety to go to work, you might feel that weariness, you're not motivated. So we have to try to figure out how are we going to get these people motivated. And smart bosses know that after a holiday, you shouldn't really jam people with work. You wait a day or two, let them catch back, let them acclimatize themselves. So a boss who, when I did some lectures with the Employees Consultancy Association, they said, listen, after holiday, don't make it too difficult for these individuals, because they have to wean back out, they have to acclimatize themselves. So wait until probably Wednesday before you hit some new work. So therefore, how could I make somebody, get in a way where I'm trying to get away from this sluggish or unproductive mindset? So that mindset really, we try to train people that anytime there is a holiday, even before the holiday begins, when you're leaving work, you should now keep your desk tidy. Even students, keep your work in order. Mentally tell yourself, when I come back out next time, this is what I'm going to sort of manage. So you're preparing yourself, when you go back out to work, this is how my workload will be. So the Friday before a long weekend, so if there's a Friday or Thursday before, you have to set aside, so you're adjusting your mind one time, we are going back into that routine. So I also tell patients is when you now have to go out to work, we have to say that, you may be going into that environment, but trying to get something pleasurable in there. A co-worker that you could sit and tell your experiences. I always say, try to make a lunch date. So therefore, a lunch date means you're going there to meet somebody, because we are social beings. And when we go there and we know we're going to socialize, we're going to meet this friend, yes, we are wary, but going there, just the idea to chat and to talk and catch up is something that is a mental sort of a mental plus for you to say, I'm going out to work because I'm going to meet, so we're going to a restaurant, we're going to have certain things. And also, I try to tell people, do what you would call a brain dump. Brain dump is write down everything you have to do and try to get the 2 or 3 most important tasks to finish, for the key task. Don't put everything at once. So kind of manage your week. Tackle one task at a time. So it's like you don't have to build up momentum. So there's a saying, one cocoa full basket. So that saying is really telling you, you can't go from a mindset of pleasure to just work. So you have to do, let's build up, let's go, we can't go up to 100% productivity. So once we have that realization, we now could go back to work in a better frame of mind. So some patients, I say, when you go back out after holiday, plan that you take your break around 10, half 10. Plan you take a break around 2 o'clock, because especially in the afternoons, those are unproductive hours for persons. They tend to be more sluggish then. But if you take your break, you stretch. And I always like green tea. Drink a cup of green tea. Those who like coffee, take a little cup of coffee in the morning. At least it will keep you, hopefully keep you a little stimulated in the day. So getting pleasurable activities, taking that break, that stretching, reminding yourself, thank God, at least I have a job. Sometimes we tell people take dark chocolate. Dark chocolate has certain chemicals in it which could give you a lift and help depression. So it's really stretching, going for a walk. Sometimes in your lunch break, do not stay at your desk. Go and take a walk, go out with somebody. Or if you have party the whole weekend, and the whole weekend you're tired, Lunchtime, go in your car, take a little sleep, catch up. So it depends on what you did that weekend and how you, if you're physically tired, what you do. I think we all know Ash Wednesday, what happens in Ash Wednesday. Ash Wednesday, sometimes when you go out there, you're tired. So sometimes you have to deal with the physical problems too by taking your Advil, hydration. Don't take the hair of the dog, as people say, let me take another shot of alcohol to get through the day. No, we don't recommend that. We recommend that you go to work and you have to deal with the physical problems as well as your mindset.
And how important would you say rest is versus to productivity, especially when it comes to mental health?
Oh, very, very important. So therefore, let us say a whole weekend, you have disrupted routines like sleep. Whole weekend you're going party, and then you know, we always try to say the night before, try to go to bed and get a little sleep. Try to put yourself in the frame of mind that I'm going to work next day. And I tell people, put your, like school children, put your uniform, put your books, put everything in order. And adults, you know, get everything in order for your work next day. Put your tie, put your shirt. So mentally, your mind, when you're sleeping, your subconscious is saying, well, I'm going to work next day. I've put out my stuff already. So therefore, you have to start, as I'm saying, is getting that motivation begins before the holiday begins, where you know put some work for the lighter work. It also starts the night before, where we try to say, try to go to bed early, try to cut down your liming, try to reduce your alcohol consumption at that time in night where you could go to sleep. Don't overindulge even food and drink. You know, so this is how we try to say you have to try to get you back on track.
Absolutely. And do you think social media and constant phone use can add or affect our ability to mentally reset?
Definitely. You see, the idea is trying to get a good night's rest, before you go next day, because you want to go fresh, full of energy. And especially young children, they are on social media, they are whole night, they are waking, they may be some young persons for school, they do gaming. So we try to say, no, you have to go out next day. And even, yes, we don't expect you to be a full 100%, at least go to school with a fresh state of mind. Because you see, what we found is individuals who do not get enough sleep, they could be irritated yes, next day, very irritable. And I always warn people that if somebody snap at you after a holiday, forgive them. That is probably not them speaking. That's probably their whole mood, their whole irritability coming out to work. So I tell people Monday morning after holiday, you just have to forgive people for any of their mood swings, and if they may tell you something that you may not like. So sleep is important. Keeping yourself, again, getting up in the morning, and I always recommend try and do a brisk 15-minute walk or a little exercise, because as you exercise, the oxygen in your body comes in, you get that little energy boost. Eat something, have a breakfast with protein if you could eat like that. And then, as I say, when you go back out, at least now you'll have to have that mindset that you're going to be not 100%, but you'll be getting there probably in a day or two at a time.
And you mentioned a bit in terms of young persons, setting up their school stuff beforehand. So we know children or young people itself juggling school, relationships, and even expectations that are placed on them. What are some of the advice that you give or continue to add to them in terms of having that mental reset to go back out to school?
Well, the mental reset, remember, young persons, they undergo a lot of problems with relationships, interpersonal relationships. They're finding their own way in the world. So sometimes it's difficult for them when they have to go out to school, and they may have other issues affecting them. Other issues could be family issues, some girlfriend or boyfriend they like, so certain things like that. So we try to tell them, listen, put things in perspective. Understand stressors in life. It's not many, it's like interpersonal relationship with your fellow students or your co-workers. It's your relationship with your other, your other half. It's a relationship with what's happening in your family dynamics. So all those issues, you have to know to put them into certain segments that you say you cannot be overwhelmed with all of that. Because if you're going to be overwhelmed with a whole set of things at once, that's a sign that you could end up having stressed out and you can lead to anxiety, depression. So let's try to say, write down, journal your problems. When you journal your problems, then you'll be able to deal with it. And so what we find is that mistakes people make when they're going back out, they figure they have to go to school one time and start performing. No, you can't really do that. You have to now reset your mind. You have to deal with your other issues at in a time, but you journal it, you get somebody to speak to, go to bed the night before earlier, pack your bag, as I say, prepare your meals in advance if you could, and avoid ending the weekend completely exhausted, because that will now carry you over next day, that physical exhaustion.
So you mentioned a bit with avoiding ending your weekend completely exhausted. So what are some of the routines that can make it easier to transition after future long weekends?
Well, the routine is you have to have the mindset, listen, I have to go to work next day, so let me get myself in a positive frame of mind. Let me see what's the advantage of going to school. The advantage of going to school is I have to get an education. Probably I don't like what I'm doing, but my parents say I have to study. You have to go and study. At the end of the day, you have to say that, look, I am in school, there's a purpose there. So you have to have that mental reset in your mind that, we're moving back to this mode. We have to tell ourselves that going back out to work, going back out to school, after a holiday, we have to do certain things. And certain things start the night before by avoiding the distraction. And even in the day, we always recommend it, but the schools have their breaks, their recess in the mornings and in the afternoons. And this is the same break we want adults to do, where you get up and you stretch, you go around, you have a cup of green tea, you now move around a bit and then sit back at your desk. And this is how we say lunchtime, get out from that desk. Don't just stay in that environment. And we always say consistent sleep routines. So, but sometimes it's impractical. If you're now coming in from a flight, how are you going to manage to hustle next day? So as far as possible, we try to say, have your vacations planned in such a way that you can try to get back normal or normal routine the day before. And this, I think, is the secret. And the other secret is having the short breaks during the day, at least having also keeping hydrated. People who went hiking, etc., for the weekend, they come physically tired. You use Advil to help your aspirin once your stomach is good, to help your physical problems that you may have, getting that stiff joints to go to work next day.
And along those lines, do you think persons feel guilty for feeling rested or for wanting to rest? And how can they stop thinking in that essence where they feel guilty about resting?
Well, the thing about resting, I mean, our worldwide, the culture worldwide has gone now where people, even after the COVID pandemic, people actually try to say, look, we rather work from home. Some persons say we rather a shorter work week. Some persons say we want to enjoy our lives and our work is consuming us too much. So you find there's a change in the mindset, because sometimes you go to work and some people don't have that enjoyment. They see it just as a means of getting some income rather than really enjoying their company's advance, because they don't see it trickling down. So sometimes you find that the mindset of the individual in our work environment has been changing. We are seeing more desk rage. So sometimes you go to work and you have colleagues there with their own problems coming in, and they may unload it on you. There's a study in Australia where 21% or 1 in 5% of leadership CEOs have what you would call a personality problem, like narcissistic personality, antisocial personality, psychopathic tendencies. So imagine if you go into a toxic boss, if you're going with toxic co-workers, you wouldn't want to go there. So something you have to now know how to shield yourself from that. You have to know how you have a holiday within your work routine. Your holiday is you get up lunchtime and you move out of that environment. So sometimes we have to now tell persons that, for you to survive in our world with road rage when you're going to work, desk rage, with persons coming down on your deadlines, you need good rest, because rest is the way where you recuperate. Rest is where your brain will start to help you, your neurotransmitters are formulated. So these are healthy habits that we tell people. Good diet. You have to have a good diet. If you know you're going to have mindset, we tell you omega-3, vitamin B, these things help your brain. We tell you get good sleep and exercise. 15 minutes exercise every morning could starve off, mental illness in some people. There were some studies where they put persons on antidepressants like Zoloft and they put them on exercise, which is mild or moderate depression, and the exercise was just as good. So we have to get in the minds of the people. Good diet, good exercise. Leave your baggage at home. If you have a toxic boss, learn how to put it in that little journal where you can deal with it, because some persons you can't change. And then when you are going to work, tell yourself, there's a purpose for me to go to work. If I can help one person at work, I will be happy. If I can have one co-worker I could go and lean and talk to, I should be happy.
And if you have one thing that you want the listeners and the viewers to do today or start resetting mentally, what would it be?
The idea that when you are going out to work after holiday, you have to get a different change of mindset or culture, meaning you prepare mentally fit via the sleep, via the sleep aspect, via the mental preparation, via not punishing yourself to say you have to go 100%. I mean, Trinidad and Tobago, we have about 15 public holidays in our calendar. Other countries like Nepal has 30. So imagine when you're going to that mindset, when you're going there, you have to say, I would be that productive. And it is well understood. Our former Prime Minister, George Chambers, said, fed done, time to go back to work. And we should tell ourselves it's time to go back to work. But we have to see ourselves. We have to strengthen ourselves. We have to know where we're not going to punish ourselves. We have to know to make that idea where we nourish our brains with the little snippets we try to give you. Prepare yourself to enter back into that environment. It's like you're now re-entering an orbit of work. You have to prepare yourself mentally for that.
Thank you so much for that. And any final words you want to leave the viewers with in terms of going about this week for persons going back out to work today and next week for students going back out to school?
Okay, so going back out to work today, if you're tired, take your breaks at 10 o'clock, take your break at 2 o'clock. If you have to drink a little energy drink to keep you up, I don't like energy drinks all the time, but post-holiday, you may take a half of it or your green tea. And the thing is, lunchtime could be a holiday within a work environment where you could do whatever you want in your lunchtime. So take your lunchtime seriously, where you could go and socialize, you could go in your car and sleep, you can go and revamp yourself. So therefore, understand that it'll take some time to acclimatize yourself back to work. It'll take a while to acclimatize yourself back to school as students. So don't think you have to be 100%. So break up your task into small tasks, but don't punish yourself for it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Varma, for those valuable insights. And it's definitely something that we can take and apply moving forward, especially for the future long weekends that we have in Trinidad and Tobago here. So thank you so much for sharing with us.
Okay.
Again, guys, thank you for joining us this morning on AM Prime. And we hope today's conversation was really impactful, informative, and as we like to say, remember to stay safe, stay informed, stay positive. Up next, we do have Sean Michael Small with Talking Points, so don't go far. And I'll see you back here tomorrow morning again. Bye.
WESN.
If these walls could talk, they'd cry uncle. They didn't plan to become offices or yoga studios, but they've stood by us, even when we got a little stir-crazy. For that, they deserve some thanks. They deserve Benjamin Moore.
The home of Caribbean content is growing, and we welcome you to be a part of the #1 platform for young personalities who are driven to make a